How can you loop based on a condition in Python? Python's for loops are for looping over iterables. In order to use a for loop, you must have an iterable to loop over. But what if you need to perform an operation repeatedly, but you don't have an iterable to loop over? In that case, Python has a different kind of loop you could use. Python's while loops are for looping based on a condition. This loop calculates all Fibonacci numbers smaller than 100. As long as the condition in a while loop is true or truthy, the loop keeps iterating, running the body of the loop over and over, but once the condition becomes false or falsy, the loop stops. Be careful to make sure your looping condition does eventually become false. Here's a loop that's supposed to calculate the first 10 Fibonacci numbers, but if we ran this loop, we would find that it goes on forever. This loop would never end because we forgot to increment our count variable in the body of our loop. A loop that goes on forever is called an infinite loop. Be careful not to accidentally make infinite loops in Python. Sometimes you might be tempted to use a while loop when a more appropriate looping construct already exists. For example, here we're counting upward in a while loop in order to perform an operation a specific number of times. But we could have instead used the built-in range function in Python, which gives us an iterable that we could then loop over. This is pretty much what the range function was made for. And here, we're using a while loop to loop over a list in reverse. But we could have actually used another built-in function, the built-in reversed function, which is made just for this use case for looping over an iterable in reverse. Most of our loops in Python are modeled from the perspective of looping over an iterable. That's what Python's for loops are for. That's by far the most common type of loop in Python. But if you really just need to loop based on a condition instead of looping over an iterable, you can use a while loop.